Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, Andrew Velez, and Joe Dehls. And this is now episode 207. In this episode, we are going to react to the Donovan Mitchell trade, what this means for the Cavaliers' future, the Jazz's rebuild, and the Knicks. We also have a very important and great announcement to make. We have partnered with Boom Fantasy for the foreseeable future and for the NFL season, our first big-time sponsor, Boom Fantasy.
Oh, man.
And Joe,
let's go.
We have some transparency here because you work for Boom Fantasy.
I do work for Boom Fantasy. Yeah, I've been there for about a year and a half now. We had a fantasy app before COVID, but COVID kind of screwed things up there. But now back 2022, launching our first consumer-facing app in a few years. Really excited. I've been on this project since March, so I've been working on it for a while. We have some really talented people working at Boom, and right now you could go in 3 different game modes: toss-ups, long shots, and favorites. It's just as they sound. Toss-ups is like that 50-50 game. Favorites should be in your favor, and long shots are, is this guy going to hit a home run, or is he going to get 2 touchdowns? Something that might be not as likely, but you have some bigger payouts there. But yeah, partnering with Boom, very excited, and I can't talk about too much what we have in the future, or what's coming to the app, but it's going to be some stuff that we've really never seen in a fantasy app before. So if you go in our bio and description down below, use our link to sign up and deposit, you get a deposit match on your first deposit up to $100.
And not only that, but we're starting to give out our Patreon exclusive episodes to people who go and join the chalkboard. The chalkboard is in the link in our description, and it's a free group chat with us. You can, if you add us, we will most likely respond. We are on our phones and we respond to you guys. Discord, you can also join the Discord if you join the Patreon, but Chalkboard is that application that you can join for free, unlike the Patreon and Discord, and still get those exclusive episodes.
And just so you know, for the exclusive episodes, we answer questions from the Patreon. And if you guys are a certain tier of the Patreon, you might potentially get a spot on the show for our exclusive episode too. So just something to keep in mind.
Now, Donovan Mitchell got traded. Let's break the ice, right? And the fans were telling us we should have did an emergency pod yesterday. They wanted to know how we were feeling. And Riv, the fans have been really gassing you up in terms of, well, I can't wait until Riv gets on the show because the way he's going to respond to Joel. So I'm curious. You've had time to prepare. You've had time to say what you want to say. So I'll let you go first.
Well, I always go first. So, Joel, yesterday, it was all fun and games, Donovan gets traded. We all get the news. I'm adding you immediately. Knicks are L.
That was insane. The tweet was nuts.
Yeah, it was really, comedy relief, of course. Then more details started to surface. We started to see the trade that was sent in July, which was fucking nuts. That was a better deal than the Cavs deal. And more reports started coming out. So I took a day to think about shit. And I don't blame the Knicks. The Knicks I don't blame them for declining that deal. The latest one. I don't blame them. Ainge was just being stubborn. He's being asked to the Knicks. He ended up taking the Cleveland deal, which was lesser than the Knicks deal. So the Knicks didn't take an L. I don't think they took an L because they essentially would have gave up way more than Cleveland. Cleveland gave up 2 players that didn't play Sexton, he really didn't play last year.
Sexton's still good at basketball.
No, but I'm saying they gave him 2 players that didn't have anything to do with the success that they had last year.
Or the future. They didn't. Sexton wasn't the future of their team.
Laurie's expendable, and they gave up picks. You have to do it to make those type of moves, especially for a small market team or a team that's not going to get a lot of players in free agency. The Knicks don't get it now, but you get it now, and I'm gonna tell you why you get it now. You've been going crazy this summer. Oh, we get Donovan. We're better than the Bulls. We're better than the Raptors. You didn't get Donovan. Last year, you didn't get KD and Kyrie. You didn't get Zion. You have just been running around screaming we're going to get people, and you just don't get them. So now that, the dust is settled, I think we're all smart at this table. We all have a podcast. We have to do our jobs. I understand that. So now that the dust is settled, I ask you a question. Really simple question. I don't want to What's the next step for the Knicks? You know, you don't get Donovan. You've been screaming that you'll get Donovan. He makes you a playoff lock. You now paid $340 million to mid, and freaking mid. Jalen Brunson, R.J. Barrett, who has a lot of potential. He's good right now. And Julius Randle. You paid Mitch too. What's the next step? Because now Donovan goes to Cleveland. That's another team that's better than the Knicks, which means I counted in my brain, because I'm looking at my conference, 10 to 11 teams better than the Knicks, which makes you a lottery team. You might not, you know what's crazy? You might not get a top 5 pick because there's teams in the West that might be worse than you. And then there's a few teams in the East that's worse than you. So you'd be stuck in that 8 to 12 range. And you still have Tibbs as a coach. You have Jalen Brunson. You have Julius Randle pretty much locked at the 1 and 4 for right now. That can change. R.J. Barrett is locked at the 3 spot. You picked up Quinn Grimes, who Tibbs is, I guess the team is, I don't know what they're going to do with him. He can sit. He can start. Quickly's also there. What they're going to do with him? Who's going to start the 2 spot? And then you get another pick. That can change things. So I ask you, what's the next step for the Knicks? How do you get out of mediocrity? You're not even mediocrity. I suck. But how do you get out of that to get to the playoffs?
Before I answer your question, the topic at hand is, we're the Knicks losers of this Donovan Mitchell trade. You yourself said no.
Nope.
Somebody who's been hypercritical of the Knicks. You laugh at the Knicks' demise, so did the entire internet. Now, yesterday I recorded my live reaction to the trade. And that was my reaction. You can go check it out, the Joel Moran YouTube channel. That was my reaction. Emotional. And even in those moments of grand emotion, I still understood and had some type of perspective. Today is my response. Did I lose? Absolutely not. Wow. In fact, there are other losers that I want to point out while I talk about the Knicks. But first of all, you're right. Back in July, the offer was Obi Toppin, R.J. Barrett. It was Mitchell Robinson and 3 first-round picks, and the Jazz declined.
That's crazy.
That offer. Now, I'm not even sure if I believe that report, but if that was the offer, I'm glad the Jazz declined. But our final offer was Emmanuel Quickley, R.J. Barrett, and 2 first-round picks. Now, if Danny Ainge wants to be stubborn and take that Cleveland deal because he despises the Knicks, then I'm all for it. My excitement this entire offseason was pairing up Mitchell with R.J. Barrett. It was not giving up R.J. Barrett. No. I said multiple times on this table, let's give up 5 of our young players as long as it's not R.J. Barrett. So I'm fine with Mitchell going to Cleveland. And I looked at the big-time trades in the past decade. 2011 Carmelo trade. Denver won that trade. The Knicks lost. When you look at long-term, Denver got Jamal Murray from that trade. 2011 Darren Williams to the Nets. Utah traded Darren. Utah won that trade. 2011 Chris Paul trade. The Clippers won. 2012 Dwight Howard trade. Orlando surprisingly won. They got Nikola Vucevic from that trade and made the playoffs first before the Lakers.
How did the Utah Jazz win the Darren Williams trade?
They were able to successfully build around Gordon Hayward and make multiple playoff appearances.
Interesting.
They got Derek Favors from that trade.
Okay.
Like
that Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer team was pretty solid, though, but all right.
Oh, but on the Nets. Darren Williams did nothing. No,
you're right.
Nets.
You're right. I don't disagree.
2013 KG and Pierce. Yeah. So Brooklyn, we know Boston won.
Easily.
Absolutely.
2014 Kevin Love to Cleveland. Cleveland won. They won a championship. 2017 Kyrie trade to Boston. I would say Cleveland won.
I think both lost.
They got Colin Sexton from that deal, which ultimately led to getting Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Like 7 years later.
2018 Kawhi trade. Toronto won. They won a championship. 2019 AD trade. The Lakers won. They won a championship with the Pelicans. Young core. They're creeping in.
Very even trade.
Yeah, win-win for
2019 Paul George trade to the Clippers. I would say that's still
TBD.
a wait and see.
TBD.
If the Clippers don't win the championship, they would lose that trade. And then a 2021 James Harden trade, he goes to Brooklyn. I would say Houston has won that trade since James Harden is not on Brooklyn anymore. Teams that have traded their stars have won the trade 50% of the time or more. The only times teams have won the trade are when it's resulted in a championship. Did I ever say Donovan Mitchell made the Knicks a championship team? I said a playoff lock. Championship team, no. Which means if we would have made this trade, looking in hindsight statistically, we probably would have lost. Now, who are the real losers? Well, that's easy. The Miami Heat, the Chicago Bulls, and the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are the real loser of the Donovan Mitchell trade because they traded 3 first-round picks for DeJounte Murray, and the Hawks are nothing more than a play-in team. The Chicago Bulls traded for Vucevic, who's on an expiring deal, traded Wendell Carter and Franz Wagner. You signed DeMar DeRozan, who's an aging star. Your point guard you signed for $80 million won't even start the season. He's always injured. You can't count on him to be durable and to play. The Chicago Bulls have aging stars. Their best player, one of their best players on an expiring contract. The point guards can't stay healthy. They aren't a real threat in the East. But they went all in last offseason to be one. And then the Miami Heat. You've seen every team around you get better while you got worse.
That's crazy that you say that because
those are the real losers. Because the Cavs now are a team that has the potential to make some real noise in the East. The Bulls are not. The Hawks are not. The Heat, wait and see. I can't count out Eric Spoelstra,
I agree.
But I'm leaning towards, when looking at the talent on the team, they are not. What do I know the Knicks are? We're going to be bad. In 2020, I wanted us to be bad, to get a Cade Cunningham, to get a Scotty, to get an Evan Mobley, Jalen Green. We got the 4th seed. This year is our legit chance to get a top pick in a loaded draft class. Now, I'm ecstatic because I know the direction the Knicks are going in. We're not going to be in that play-in hunt and get a meaningless 8th seed in the East or 10th, 9th seed in the East. We'll be worse, and I'm fine with that. But the Bulls, Hawks, Heat are the real losers in all of this.
Let me ask you about the Raptors.
The Raptors have Scotty. They have a future.
I agree. I'm glad you said that because I wholeheartedly agree.
Do you think the Bulls have anybody that has that type of upside or future?
Scotty upside? No.
What do you guys have?
Well, that's why you didn't include them.
No, but you threw out a lot of losers, which you didn't lose the trade, but you mentioned it. The Cavs got better. Their core is very young. They're going to be together for a while.
Awesome.
Miami didn't get better, but they're still better than y'all. The Bulls probably didn't get much better.
Them?
But no, because this man ran up. He ran. I think you said one time, we get Jalen Brunson, we'll fight for the play-in. So
we will. We'll be 11-12 team.
But you just said you're happy to be trash. So which one is it? You'll fight for the play-in or you'll
we'll
be trash?
fight for the play-in. 11 seed is still out the play-in. We'll fight for it.
So if you could go back in time to before free agency, would you still sign Jalen Brunson, give him $100 million?
100%.
Or just commit to the tank?
Jalen Brunson is on a 4-year contract. I think he fits a timeline of what our team wants to do. He'll make us competitive, and we need a point guard. We haven't had a point guard, a good point guard.
But if
in
you
20
really
years.
want to commit to the tank, because like Riv said, if you're in that 8 to 12 pick, do you think it can be bad enough to
you
have
think you'll
a
draft
top 6
good
pick?
enough at first?
We'll draft good enough at first.
But also,
pardon me. Do you think you'll just draft good enough with the front office you have right now?
With the NBA draft lottery, it's not crazy to think that the Knicks could just sneakily jump into that top 5.
Who are players that the Knicks have drafted in the last couple of years? Quinn Grimes was a good pick. Emmanuel Quickley was a good pick. Obi Toppin, when he plays, he's good. That was a good pick.
When he plays,
Deuce McBride, even in the second round, I think for what he for.
It sounds like you guys hit on out of the lottery picks.
Okay, so what's gonna happen when we have a top pick?
Well,
we don't know if you
hit.
Obi was lottery.
He was the
Obi was a lottery pick, and he's
Kevin Knox was ass.
He's
bust.
not our regime.
He's not the same.
The first player our current regime drafted was Obi Toppin.
So that's the only lottery pick you've had, right?
Yeah.
I can't say he's a bust. Not yet. It's not. But I can't say he's. I don't know. Like his potential when he plays, he's good. But it's like, when is he gonna play? You know?
It all depends on trading Julius Randle. And I think the next step for the Knicks is hopefully dealing Julius Randle. The Knicks have said we're not done this summer. I don't know if that means trading Julius, getting a Buddy Hield or Miles Turner. They're not done this offseason.
But that just
summer,
makes you...
Summer ends
the Knicks.
You know what I mean?
The Knicks.
Summer's over September.
Right now, because of how competitive the Eastern Conference is, even the Knicks at their absolute best, I think, are falling out the playoffs.
Right.
Which means we're going to get a lottery pick. And I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. After thinking about it, this is my response. And I think the real losers in the East are teams that went all in last offseason. The Bulls went all in. We know that's not going to pay off long term. At least I am pretty sure of it.
Hindsight's 2020.
The Hawks went all in with DeJounte Murray, all in, quote unquote, traded 3 first-round picks for DeJounte Murray, and I don't think he puts them over the top, not even close. And the Miami Heat, losing PJ Tucker, and we have said it on this table this entire offseason, they get a scorer like Donovan Mitchell, they can win the championship. But now you don't get a player like that. You lose PJ Tucker. I don't count on these players on Miami to really compete with the teams like Milwaukee, like Boston, like Philly, like Brooklyn.
This is Vooch's last year.
I know he's on an expiring.
He gets paid $22 million.
Why do you think this is a
That's not
Hawks?
an all-in.
I'm so confused with the Hawks because
I'm not either.
I understand like trading 3 firsts for DeJounte, but regardless of this Mitchell trade,
what's the Hawks ceiling?
Yeah, I know it's first round exit.
What was the Hawks
ceiling? Could be like a fifth.
But what was the Hawks
overall
ceiling
seed
before they traded the picks?
It was around the same.
So it wasn't gonna the picks weren't gonna turn into
DeJounte.
something that's gonna, put them potential wise higher than what they really were.
But
They
now
had to make a
Cleveland,
trade.
I think, makes a
Oh, yeah,
significant
Cleveland.
leap over.
But
them.
with or without this trade, Atlanta's ceiling is the
It's
same.
the same. So
It's not like Atlanta all of a sudden they got Mitchell,
But
and
now
like
you
now
have-
they're not a playoff team
no,
or
yeah,
something.
there is, because now Cleveland, before this trade, you could have said Atlanta's going to be better than Cleveland.
You could, but it's just one
Now, after they got Mitchell, that's crazy.
team. Were they a second round team before this Mitchell trade?
hell no.
The
The Hawks?
They were a first round exit.
Yeah, and they
could
still
miss
are.
that. Now they can miss the playoffs.
But they could have missed it
I don't-
before that.
I don't think so.
They still could have.
But now
missed
they have
It's
a
just
better
one
chance
team.
of missing it.
It's just one team above them now. It's not like they're dropping 4
Look at the Eastern
spots.
The
Conference.
Hawks can be better than the Bulls.
The Boston Celtics, the
Yes,
Eastern
you
Conference,
take-
the Boston
yes,
Celtics,
You're taking the
Milwaukee
Celtics.
Bucks,
Yep.
the 76ers,
Yep.
the Brooklyn Nets,
Yep.
the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Miami Heat. Now, the teams that are fighting for that play-in are the Raptors, are the Hawks, are
You said
the
the Bulls?
Bulls. One of those teams is missing the playoffs.
Yeah, okay. But with that, before this trade, it was about the same. Like you're one spot ahead, but they still have those teams
But
behind
Atlanta-
you that are in that conversation
But
as well.
one spot makes a huge difference.
It
and
could.
Cleveland
Because
is
you gotta
now
play
in
in
that
the
spot.
play-in.
Cleveland also was very high in the standings prior to Mobley and Jared Allen both missing time.
They need depth at the center spot. That's what they need.
They need depth. Period.
Nah. Rubio, Levert, Love off the bench.
do they? I feel like it's interchangeable. You can play Mobley at the center. You can play Jared Allen at the center. Kevin Love comes off the bench. Like
The problem, the problem is those are the only two defenders at the center
Absolutely.
position. That's what it is. They need a backup center.
anything better than that?
No, of course
That's-
not. But when one goes down, you see they were fucked.
No, but both
But
went
how
out.
many have elite big options? Not many teams.
They need a solid.
Multiple
Dean
elite
Wade
big
ain't
options.
moving it, man. Dean Wade ain't moving the needle at all. But Cavs lock.
They're a lock for the playoffs.
They're a lock for
I can see it.
playoffs. They're a lock.
Makes
Are
sense.
they-
This team is fun.
This team is exciting.
Are they more of a lock than the Raptors?
Yes.
Yep.
I'm gonna say no.
I
Where are the
don't
Raptors better?
love the
Why?
Raptors. I don't.
But why?
Where are they better than the Cavs?
Defensively, still all around.
Still have a really good defensive team. in
Offensively, I
Cleveland.
would lean.
I think they got. I
Cavaliers
think
now.
if I'm being honest with you, I think the Raptors got lucky with Cleveland and the Bulls getting hurt last season. If I'm being honest, that's why they got in.
See, but okay, you could say that last year, but let's go to next season where Scotty Barnes is going to play even better basketball.
I agree.
So
But
then
they still don't have a bench. They still don't have a center. Like I
Otto
like
Porter
the,
comes in. That's not a bad addition. It's not moving the
but
needle
he
much.
looks,
Absolutely,
He looks a lot better. He looked like he's old.
because of the system.
Yeah, he
I
looked
get
a
it.
lot better in the Golden State system. He might not
His
look
role's
the
going to be
same.
similar, not similar.
Yeah, but
like
that's not really-
you don't understand what I'm saying. He's
No, I
going to
get
come
what
off the
you're
bench.
saying.
This goes into the next topic. Now, the Cavaliers, after this trade, they are a
Facts.
top 5 team in the Eastern Conference. I don't think the Raptors stand a chance with the Cavaliers right now. It's not even close. You mentioned
Tough.
defensively. The Cavs last year were a better
were
defensive
great.
team than the Raptors.
That's a bad matchup though.
And I just want to mention this. Kobe Altman has done a tremendous job.
Yep.
Took over after LeBron basically left Cleveland. He's done good on his draft picks for the most part. He's made smart moves. And now you're able to acquire an all-star player without giving anybody in your young core up. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. Off the bench, you still have 4 solid options in Kevin Love, Ricky Rubio, Karis LeVert is still there, and Shetty Osman. The Cavaliers are one of those teams that could have been at risk for a regression. while everybody thought they could have been better, they could finally make that playoff leap. The East is so tough they could have missed the playoffs. This move solidifies them in the playoffs. And am I taking them over a team like the Miami Heat right now? I am. The Cavaliers were 35-21 when Jared Allen played. That's a 62.5 win percentage. The only team that was better in the East was the Miami Heat at 64%, which means that if Jared Allen can stay healthy, the Cavaliers last year were a top 3 seed, and they were 9-17 without Jared Allen. Jared Allen, I know people are expecting this Evan Mobley leap, and he's very important to their timeline because he can become a superstar All-NBA caliber player. But Jared Allen is arguably one of the best defensive centers in basketball. He finishes through contact great. He's one of the best transition players in the league. The Cavaliers have Darius Garland, who I think is not just an all-star. He can be All-NBA. Donovan Mitchell is All-NBA. Evan Mobley has the potential to be All-NBA. And Jared Allen is an all-star, but he's no slouch. He's a high-level all-star. The Cavaliers have a chance now, if they can hit on some later picks, make some good moves, make some good trades, to be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference in the next year or two.
Them are the Nets for you.
The Nets right now.
Jared Allen, high-level all-star. Chris Middleton, low-end all-star.
You can't name 2 centers better than Jared Allen in the East.
So you're just going based off position.
Yes, you can. You definitely
Definitely
can.
can. You
Bam
can
and
also.
Embiid.
I think Bam is arguable. I think Jared Allen is more impactful than Bam Adebayo.
It's a conversation. I would lean Bam. He's definitely more versatile defensively.
I ain't gonna lie, you
I would
lost
lean
me,
Bam.
champ.
I would
You lost
definitely
me.
lean
You lost
Bam.
me with that one.
And
Jared Allen is a better rim protector. He's a better
That's it.
rebounder.
Oh, yeah, rebound. Yeah, that's it.
He can finish through contact better.
Bam's offensive.
I don't know the
game's not
exact
good.
stat on that, but I don't think that's true.
And he's a better defensive player than Bam Adebayo statistically.
That's because Bam takes
He
on
made
tougher
he made
assignments.
players shoot 14% worse than they normally shot. No, it was 12% worse
He's a
than they
rim,
normally
he's a
shot.
rim protector.
That was the best in the NBA.
He's an elite rim protector.
He can switch out too, though.
Not like Bam.
Not like Bam, but Bam is 6'9", and Jared Allen is legitimately 7 foot.
What are you saying the size for?
If you're shorter, you are more agile,
I mean, Bam can also protect the rim.
but not like Jared Allen.
No, but he can do it at an elite level, and he can guard the perimeter at an elite level, and he
Absolutely.
can handle the ball. So it's like,
Get more options with Bam.
Allen over Bam. I don't know if it's arguable, but I get what you're saying. He's definitely top 3. So he's definitely a top 3 center. In the East.
He's Rudy Gobert. He's going to be as good as Rudy Gobert. Jared Allen.
Multiple time DPOY.
He's generational
Yeah.
defender.
I think Jared Allen could.
Jared
win a
Allen's great at
DPOY.
defense. He's
Yes.
amazing at defense.
As good as Rudy?
No, as good as Rudy. I'm not going to go
He's
that
not as
far.
good as Rudy right now, but he can be
No,
as
yeah.
good as
So
Rudy.
it sounds like you're really high on the Cavs.
Yeah, I think.
Talk to me. Like, what's their upside here? Like, we're talking
here we go.
ECF. What, like?
Well, this year they're a young team. I think their upside is the second round.
Okay.
I think if everything goes right, maybe the conference finals if they get a favorable matchup.
So they're an
Could they
Evan
beat the
Mobley
Sixers?
leap away.
Can they beat the Sixers?
That's a decent matchup for them.
It's a possibility.
So it sounds like they're a Mobley leap away because Mitchell, we know already what he is. Garland, we've already seen what he could be. And Jared Allen, yes, he's going to progress, but he's already been an elite rim protector. So it sounds like Mobley is that last piece for them to take a step to really get in that conversation of fighting for the ECF, going to the chip.
and I think that can happen pretty easily. Evan Mobley's that guy.
it's not. I don't think it's gonna happen this year though.
Evan Mobley?
What makes you say that?
Taking that type of leap.
Just because he's
What do you mean by that
I
type of leap?
disagree. I think Garland and Mobley are ready.
They're them.
At this
Yeah,
point, especially
Garland, we know
Garland.
no one's
That's what I'm
questioning
saying.
that.
Garland's already
Especially
shown us.
Garland.
Mobley
Like,
is unbelievable.
look
To
out for like a 22, 23, and 10 season from Garland with like a really, really good efficiency. I think playoff time is a little different because they don't have the experience. Like I don't think they'll make the Memphis leap because Memphis had a little bit more experience than them.
Garland averaged 21
It was like
last
19.
season.
22 and 9.
Yeah, 22 and 9. It was
So he goes
close.
up in points with Mitchell on his team.
I think he
He
becomes more
can.
efficient. So yeah, I think he can go up. He
Yeah,
becomes a
right
lot
now
more
the
efficient.
biggest problem with Garland is his efficiency, but his efficiency is due in part to the lack of spacing Cleveland had, and
He'll
Donovan
definitely-
Mitchell.
Is it a worry
alleviates a
of
lot
the
of
yours?
playmaking is going up.
Is it a worry of yours that it took Colin Sexton getting injured for Garland to finally have his moment as the guy to be the primary ball handler to finally assert himself as the best player on their team?
I don't know. I think
because he was so good.
I think it was more that he got the Twin Towers, and he just worked on his game. He didn't, like, if you look at Garland from year one to now, he didn't have the repertoire of versatile moves he has inside the paint, outside the paint, the floater, the in-between game, the pick and roll. He didn't have that in his game. And on top of that, he couldn't – I don't want to say he couldn't shoot, but he just was really fucking inefficient. So I just think, honestly, he just worked on his game.
Mm-hmm.
So not only that,
and I was going to say, outside of just his ability to play basketball, I also think it had to do with Colin Sexton's inability to pass the ball as well.
Yeah,
Donovan Mitchell can play make. And he could play definitely at a higher level than Sexton.
The biggest difference is I think Colin Sexton was on a Cavaliers team that had no direction. They didn't know what direction they were going to go in or how they were going to play. And he benefited off of a young Darius Garland still trying to find his footing in the league and not trying to step on somebody's toes who had been there in Colin Sexton. There has been numerous leaks of teammates being disgruntled with Sexton. Though this isn't Sexton wasn't somebody that people liked playing with within Cleveland. Darius Garland finally gets that opportunity share. He breaks out. Donovan Mitchell at his best was when he was paired with the point guard in Mike Conley, and Mike Conley was aging out. Now that you have a true legitimate star point guard who you don't have to worry about aging out, and Darius Garland is better than Mike Conley ever was, this is going to unlock Donovan Mitchell's game that much more.
Are we worried at all? Because we shit on the Knicks a ton about the size. Is it the defenders they got back there?
Front court. Okay. When you have that type of front court, you're able to play two guards. Like, shout out to Mitch Robinson, but they have Evan Mobley
different level
and Jared Allen. Yeah, they have the Twin Towers. So, and Evan Mobley's long enough, agile enough, he can
guards.
Yeah, like he's able to get to the paint, get to the 3-point line pretty fast.
Expecting to start Okoro too?
Probably is.
Okoro breakout. They have no other option.
And Evan Mobley is at the top.
He can't start LeVert. He's
going to
take the ball out of Mitchell and Garland's hands.
6 man.
The one thing holding Cleveland back is Evan Mobley's going to be better. There's no doubt, but he's not going to make this All-NBA leap. Even All-Star leap might be a stretch for Evan Mobley right now because
what's going to cause him to take that? What's going to cause him to take that step?
Be more
it's
fucking
just
aggressive.
Time. It's just
I know,
time.
but you have Mitchell and Garland on this team now. Like, we want Mobley to take that leap, but there's only so many times you could get the ball with these two other superstars on your team.
It's just time, and I think everybody is so hell-bent on trying to get this player to break out now. Evan Mobley's in his second season. It's just time. By the time he's in his fourth, fifth season, we're going to see how great Mobley's going to be. He's great right now. He's one of the best defenders in basketball right now. Yeah. But Cleveland doesn't need him to become this high-level or even all-star player. And I think usually all-stars become that year 3, 4,
I think
not
they're
first 2
definitely
years.
top 5. I think they're better than Miami. Miami could win that series because of the experience.
You're looking at Mitchell's contract.
I do think they're better than Miami. I think they're right under Philly for me as of today. Obviously, shit can change, obviously. But they're not. I wouldn't put them in a tier 1 category. I still think the tier 1 category is the Bucks and Boston. Of course, I think they're the clear favorites. But they're right under Philly for me. I
think tier 1 might just be the Celtics and Milwaukee right now. I'm just saying.
You got Cleveland over the Nets?
Oh, shit. I always forget them.
You can't.
I don't think they match up well with the Nets. I mean,
it was a great series, and excuse me,
it was a great game, but because
it was a blowout, then it was close.
Mobley isn't aggressive enough for me to dominate a matchup like that.
But
and Jared Allen, but that's just gonna be outplayed by Kevin Durant and Kyrie.
But Darius Garland by himself almost beat them.
I think the thing about those games is that it's one game, so the result can be very sporadic.
7-game series.
The play-in game 2
Kyrie
seasons
didn't
ago.
miss in the first half.
He was insane.
The play-in game 2 seasons ago was the Warriors versus the Lakers. The Lakers won by a point. But do I think that if the Lakers and Golden State played in a series, the Lakers would beat them in like 5 games? I do, because they loaded up on Steph late in the game and they neutralized him. So I think that Warriors team would have lost to the Lakers in a full series where you get to game plan in about 5 games. I think the Nets and the Cavs, if the Nets have time to game plan and they're healthy, they can beat them in 6 or less.
Game planning.
I don't think game plan, but they can beat them. They'll beat them.
They could
be talent. They could out talent them.
As of right now, yeah, they don't. They don't got the experience.
So to further your point about you don't need Mobley to break out right now, you have Mitch signed until 25-26. Like, there's no rush in Mobley needing to take
a player option that year, so it's really 24.
Understand. But ultimately, this team is going to be together for years. That core of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley is going to be together for a long time. Throwing Jared Allen into that as well.
Sure.
I'm assuming Jared Allen's going to come back, especially from what they're building right over there in Cleveland. Excuse me. This team is definitely at a great incline. The best they've looked by far is post LeBron. That's an obvious statement.
This was a quick rebuild.
But
It was.
I do worry about immediately throwing them into contenders because right now, you alluded to it a little bit earlier. Yes, firmly Milwaukee's
like
over
a
them.
Championship contender?
Correct.
They're not a
Miami
contender.
isn't a championship contender to you?
Miami?
Yeah.
No, I mean, they were a game away last season.
But do you think, like, right now, they've done nothing this offseason?
They've done nothing.
You think
They
they're a
lost Tucker.
championship contender? It's okay to say they're not. They're like
I don't
ECF
think they, because personally,
contenders.
my two contenders, I only have two.
Yeah,
it's the
Bucks
Celtics and the Bucks.
Celtics,
That's
yeah.
it. But this was a great move in the right direction. You get to see what this Cavaliers team is built with. It's not going to be year one. Maybe they'll make some noise in the playoffs, like you mentioned. Maybe a second-round team. I agree with that statement. But I think that's the ceiling for them right now. And that's fine. That's a step in the right direction. You lost in the play-in last season. You make it to the second round of this upcoming season, That's a huge W if I'm the Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland is going to be an excellent pairing together. I have no doubt they're going to be amongst some of the best backcourts in the NBA. But overall for the Cavaliers, it's going to take some time, I firmly believe.
Give it like a year and some change.
I agree. I think that's perfect.
Like after next year. It should.
Because Mobley is going to get better. I firmly believe that.
Well, think about it. You got the Celtics. They're young. But outside of that, it's really what? The Nets are kind of old. The Bucks aren't old, but
outside
Drew.
of
The Nets are. We'll see what they do this year, but Kyrie can be gone after this year.
Exactly.
They're approaching.
Drew and Middleton, they're not. They're getting
They're
their
young.
age.
They're still young because Giannis is going to be 28 this season.
Yeah, but Drew's like 33.
That's true. I apologize.
Middleton's
Middleton,
about 31,
This
32.
is Philly's final year.
Yeah,
I agree
This
with
is
that.
the Nets' final year.
Yep.
I agree
That's
with that.
it. And Milwaukee,
This could possibly be
Boston,
Miami's final year too.
Miami too. Milwaukee, Boston are only teams that they will be here in the East contending for a couple more years.
And to talk really quickly about Toronto, I know we got into that conversation a little bit earlier. Looking at it, yes, you're right. The Cavaliers' defense overall was better than Toronto's. I just look at it from this perspective. I firmly believe Scotty Barnes is going to take another leap. Scotty Barnes could easily be the best player out of all of them, excluding Donovan Mitchell. I think that Donovan Mitchell will just slightly have that edge over him. I think that you look at his two-way ability, his ability to play defense on any position, probably will get outmatched against the center, of course, but even still, being this young, being as great as he is defensively and offensively, being able to score at every single level, being able to score in so many different ways. I expect Scotty to be the X factor for Toronto, taking that leap again. You have Fred VanVleet, who's a great defender, solid scorer, Gary Trent Jr., an excellent 3-and-D player. Pascal Siakam, All-NBA. I mean, I just think overall there's more offense top to bottom with the Raptors, and I think it's a little bit safer.
That's a good matchup.
So you think that Scotty can be better than Darius Garland after this year?
Say it with your
He
chest.
could be. He could be.
Tough.
Doesn't Cleveland have more
Look at
elite
me.
offense?
You have
Mitchell. Like if you put all of these teams together, you take two offensive players.
It's Mitchell and Garland.
Garland and Mitchell are both better offensive players than Pascal Siakam.
They are.
I agree with that, but Pascal Siakam's
he's
a
their-
great playmaker.
But Garland is even.
I'm not
better
saying that
playmaker.
you're wrong, but he's a big doing this.
Yeah, but
He ain't no
Garland.
fucking big.
Garland's
man.
a better.
What are we talking about?
He's
He's
a
a power
wing.
forward.
He's a wing, bro.
Oh.
He's a wing.
Garland's a better scorer and a playmaker than Siakam. Mitchell's a better scorer and a playmaker than Siakam.
I wouldn't say I would take Siakam as a playmaker over Mitchell.
Oh wow.
It's kind of crazy to say, but I do believe that.
You know what? I get what you're saying though, because the defense of Toronto could cause trouble for
Top to
Garland and
bottom.
Mitchell. Like that's a switchable defense.
That's
You got
facts.
3 to 4 lengthy wings on the court at all times. So
And I didn't even mention OG Anunoby.
yeah, no. That defensively, I just think Cleveland has a lot of firepower, and I think
But what's the firepower? Garland and Donovan.
They're offensive juggernauts.
Garland and Garland and
they
Donovan.
can
That's fair.
single-handedly carry a top 10 offense. That's how great they are offensively.
and don't forget Rubio's no slouch when he comes
No,
in.
not at all. You're
Kevin
100%
Love
right.
is a spark off the bench.
Like
Fair enough.
Pascal Siakam,
Levert in stretches.
Pascal Siakam,
stretches.
as great offensively as he is, he cannot lead a top 10 offense with him being the culprit offensively.
No, and that's
He
why I think
cannot
it
do
should be
what
on
Garland
Scotty
and Mitchell
Barnes'
can do.
shoulders.
Based on what you see from Scotty last year offensively, you think he can do that?
How
I mean,
high,
I'm
how high are
expecting-
you in Toronto? What do you
Very
have?
high.
Top 5.
Top 5 what?
Top 5
Seed?
team. It's top 5 seed. Why can't they? They were just.
They're not better than us, bro.
They are. I would actually take them over you guys.
They're not better than us, bro. I don't even
A healthy
you
you
put
guys.
them over Cleveland
Let me
right
say
now?
this.
Then they're not
I just
better
said that.
than
Yes,
the
I
reason
slightly
why I
lean
kind
them.
of struggle with the Scotty thing is because while Scotty won Rookie of the Year, Cade to me was a better player last year.
And I don't disagree with that.
And Evan Mobley and him were neck and neck. I really don't think Scott, like especially in year 2, I don't think Scotty's going to take this big-time leap where he's going to be as good as an all-star. It's Darius Garland.
I mean, he could be an all-star next season.
We're talking about Darius Garland, though.
Okay, but why are we talking like Scotty Barnes is this regular, degular-ass dude? He's not.
He's a rookie.
Who?
Is year 2.
Scotty Barnes? Going into year 2?
He was a rookie. That's what I'm saying. Like,
he was fantastic for a rookie.
We're talking about Darius Garland.
And Darius Garland was what, in year 3 last season?
Yeah.
Yes. What's the most stacked position in basketball?
Point guard.
Point guard by far.
And Darius Garland is a lock top 7 point guard at worst.
For sure. He's an amazing ball player.
He's one of the best players at his position in the game of basketball.
I'm not trying to say this to if it's coming across like I think Darius Garland's mid.
Not
Okay,
to me.
okay, I'm just glad that that's the case.
I'm
not saying Garland's
no,
mid.
he's more trying to figure out why you're pumping Scotty.
Because I just believe in Scotty's potential.
I understand that, but in year
for
2,
the two-way ability
early.
too, that's something that
the defense will be there in year 2.
Absolutely.
Like, it will
you
be
have
there.
no concern with him shooting under 30% from 3.
It can get better than that, obviously.
He's not a good jump shooter.
Project guy. He's projecting
it
right now.
can get better than 30%.
Like, it can get better, but year 2, like, am I expecting that? Like, year 2?
If he showed me that he was mediocre to slightly above average, then maybe. He was just rookie of the year over some really good candidates.
It's just, for me, it's very optimistic to say Scotty can be as good as Garland.
With Nick Nurse with Nick Nurse as his head coach, he's in a perfect situation to develop in a way that we, or at least I, see Scotty. The way that I see Scotty excelling in his progression.
Yeah, I like Scotty. Like, I think he can be very good a couple years down the line. He can be one of the top players. But just going into next season, year 2. Him versus year 4 Garland, I don't think it's close.
The team is built perfectly for Scotty Barnes to excel. There's just a lot around him that works.
So next year, who would you take, Garland or Scotty? Who do you think has a better year? I mean, it's hard to project that because Scotty's
exactly. Well, I think just right now you have to lean Garland. He's the better ball player. But again, I would not be shocked if Scotty was better.
That'd be a big leap for him.
I don't know if I'm that high in Toronto. I got to sleep on that.
That'd be a big leap.
I'm not going to sleep on that. I am sleeping on that.
I would definitely take Cleveland right now.
That's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
Listen, Donovan Mitchell's a huge addition. Yeah. Huge.
No,
and
Toronto
you're getting elite playoff scorer.
That's fine.
You gotta look at
like you guys healthy is a conversation for me, and I've told you that.
No, but
Lonzo healthy, Caruso healthy is one of the best defensive backcourts.
That's not going to happen.
Exactly my point, which is why I don't lean them.
I say to that is you're not saying they're better than us because they're the better team. You're saying they're better than us because we're not healthy. That's number one.
But that's the
number
truth.
2. If you look at last year, like I said, the Nets got hurt, Cleveland got hurt. The Bulls got hurt. That's why Toronto climbed that high, if we're being realistic. They didn't climb that high because they were better than all these teams.
They were just consistently good all season.
They were just healthy. But if we're talking about who's a better team right now.
Fred VanVleet missed time down the stretch, though.
Yeah, he did.
He was hurt.
He did miss
My
some time.
gripe with what you said.
He's one of the best players on their team.
If you want to be high on Toronto for the coach, I understand it. They have a tremendous culture.
Absolutely.
But
Miami's still better than them, too.
The reasoning,
so.
the reasoning you gave is
It's a conversation.
Toronto top 5 team because I think Scotty can be better than everybody on Cleveland outside of Donovan Mitchell. And I think there is a 99% chance that Scotty is not better than Darius Garland.
Scotty has to be the best player.
Him and Evan Mobley are neck and neck. And for him to even take a leap in his second season and be better than Pascal Siakam, I think is a huge ask and won't happen.
I think you look at the Raptors right now and they understand that people perceive them the way that you guys see them. Because Pascal Siakam, and I don't mean this rudely, I just mean it, Pascal Siakam is your best offensive player. And with Pascal Siakam being your best offensive player, that isn't going to bode well in playoff series. And you know I love Pascal. I love the Toronto Raptors. I think the Raptors understand that Scotty has the potential to be that guy. And it can't be Pascal Siakam. It can't be on Pascal Siakam's shoulders. Scotty Barnes has to be that type of guy.
You think Pascal Siakam saying that, damn, I can't win with me being the number 1 option?
Of course he's not saying that.
That's what you basically just said.
That's not what I'm saying. I said the Toronto Raptors organization.
The organization, I don't think they're even expecting
and
Scotty
also
to be better
there's a
than
lot
Pascal
of
in year
and
2.
a lot what I said was there's fans that believe that Siakam can't do it.
He can't. He can't.
This is exactly what that's exactly what my point was, which is I don't firmly disagree at all. I don't disagree at all. I think they need another guy, and Scotty's that type of guy that can do it.
You projecting Scotty to?
Well, Scotty's not he's not average. He's not regular. He's
I understand, but
not regular.
What I'm not disagreeing with what Scotty's projection can be. I am disagreeing with the fact that it's going to be in year 2.
We should have brought the whiteboard.
I mean, we're like, what's wrong with that? Scotty was really good last year, like damn good.
How many players legitimately break out in year 2 and become all-star, superstar status? or even top 20 players in year two.
We had this conversation yesterday. You had Trae Young do it. You had Ja Morant do it.
Trae Young didn't become that in year two.
Ja was in year 3.
But Ja was really good last year, regardless.
Trae Young had the numbers and was on a losing team. He didn't get that respect until we got into the playoffs and made that playoff run.
Regardless of that fact,
Morant averaged 19 points per game his second year. He didn't take that All-NBA leap until his third year.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
It's really just been Zion
I guess you
and
could say Ant-Man.
Ant-Man averaged 20 points per game.
He was an all-star level.
But he was the number one overall pick.
And he didn't make the All-Star game.
But even still, you look at all these number 1 picks, not
all-star
many
level though, player.
get that year 2 leap.
Off the top of my head.
The only 2-year leaps
Jason
have been,
Tatum was great, but not in year 2. You're right.
He wasn't All-NBA.
I'm not saying he's going to be All-NBA. Am I saying All-NBA?
I'm saying All-Star.
Was Jason Tatum an All-Star?
No, not in year 2.
I'm trying to think year 2 players.
It's really
LaMelo was there.
It's just
I think
been
that was Kyrie's
Zion.
year 2.
It's just been Zion
LaMelo.
and it's just been Luka that have really taken the league by storm.
Well,
in year
LaMelo
two.
was an All-Star.
Wait, are you saying that he's going to be like a superstar?
No,
or
I'm
just
saying he's an
all-star?
All-Star.
You said better than Darius Garland.
And Darius Garland's an All-Star.
Yeah, but Darius Garland was leading his team to a top 5.
And listen, I said that I have Garland being better, but I would not be surprised if Scotty did it.
Okay.
I've said that multiple times, but I can understand where it sounds like I'm saying Scotty is definitely better.
Definitely does sound like that.
Fair, but listen, Garland is the better ball player right now. Absolutely, that's not a question. Would I be shocked if Scotty came out of nowhere and overtook Garland? It's not crazy with his skill set, his two-way ability.
Next year I'd be in a coma if that happened. That's not gonna happen.
Okay,
No,
Darius
Joe
Garland
jinxed
is
that.
too good right now.
Almost crazy.
No, Garland's just too good right now.
He
really
finally broke out and really solidified himself. Yes,
Watch
he's
your words.
amazing. All I've done is
It was
praise
year 3.
Garland.
You're acting like it took him 7 years to
I'm
break
not.
out.
I'm not saying that.
Nah, it's just the way
You
you
said it-
came
you
off.
said
It
it
was like,
finally
yeah,
How
No,
old
but
is
it-
Garland?
What is he?
23?
21.
He is.
21?
Good guess.
Damn. That was a little older.
It's
That's
very
crazy.
young to be already one of the top players in
Scotty's
the league.
18 last season. 19 last
So was
season.
Kuminga. Come bucket.
And he's mid.
Yes,
He
I
what?
know.
He's mid, and he has no work ethic.
You really believe that report?
No, I don't. I just wanted to see what you're
Yeah,
gonna
he
say.
has more rings than Never mind. I ain't even gonna go.
No,
that
you're
far.
right. Scott, that's a great point. Scotty is young, and that's why I think it's going to take him a while to get to that
They're
place.
both super young.
Especially wings. Wings develop at a much slower pace than guards.
And he still excelled last
He
season.
did.
He excelled.
He did. He was very ahead of the game. I'll give you that.
No, he was good. Scotty was very good.
Toronto top 5 is still nuts. I'm gonna write that in the whiteboard.
All right.
Drew said Toronto.
You're going to get a Dollar Tree.
I got it already.
You got it? You
Mhm.
did?
Yeah, I got it. I got it out of BJ's.
Oh, okay.
Right out of
BJ's is a
BJ's.
good place to get it.
It's all right. I'm gonna put Drew said Toronto's gonna be top 5 seed.
Dude, this whiteboard
Again.
has to be pretty big because
We have so
lot of
much.
crazy
Two.
shit. You got 2?
I got an NBA one and an NFL one.
Tough.
But before moving on to the last topic in the show, we just did this emergency pod to talk about the Donovan Mitchell trade. I actually want to make a statement because I've noticed this kind of changing trend in how basketball is going now. Used to be, it's still spaced out. The Warriors started that revolution of spacing you out, and every team followed that blueprint. It is a copycat league. But we've seen last year Cleveland said we're going to start Mobley and Allen, and then even throw in a nail in there and start Lauri Markkanen at small forward.
Nuts for that.
We're now seeing teams go back to the old model of building teams where you have 2 twin towers. The Cleveland Cavaliers are doing it. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley.
Memphis
Now
did
they
it.
traded for Donovan Mitchell.
Boston did it.
Memphis did it with Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson Jr. Minnesota went all in to get Rudy Gobert and pair up Cat with Gobert. And you're right, Boston, Al Horford, Robert Williams.
It's the back in the day stretch 4
Facts.
dominant.
Did you say
5
Giannis and
rim
Brook Lopez
protector.
already?
In a
I didn't
sense,
say Giannis and Brook
but in a
Lopez.
sense, yeah.
Yeah,
like
that-
you said,
that
you get a
could've worked
stretch
too.
big, and then you get a guy who's down low. It's the back in the throwback days.
I like that style of basketball better. I feel like teams try to copycat the Warriors, and then
It's one of one.
they're
You can't.
noticing that we can't beat the Warriors if we play like the Warriors.
stupid.
You have to play your own game, and I think Cleveland is doing that. Minnesota's doing that, and what's best about it is that these are two young teams in the NBA, Minnesota and Cleveland, who have a very bright future.
I see you left Memphis out, but I'm gonna let you slide.
You know,
Nah, yeah, I'm gonna let you.
I'm
gonna
not
let you.
high on Memphis.
I know you're high on RJ.
I'm high on Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, okay.
Anthony Edwards.
Did you say Cat and Gobert?
High on
'Cause
RJ.
I did
that's
say
not
Such a
Cat and
stray.
Yeah.
Such a stray.
Okay.
And
Not
I just
high
want to
on
let you know
what's up?
if you think so. The Cavs are tier 2 in the East, right?
They are.
What are the Timberwolves in the West?
Cavs are indeed tier 2.
What are the Timberwolves in the West?
It would be like bottom of tier 2 for me.
bottom of tier 2.
You didn't have to make that distinction.
I
Distinction,
have
excuse
him
me.
list. I have them in order.
But you could have just said they're tier 2.
No, I want
also.
him to
Who's
feel
the top
every
of tier
disrespect
2?
that I'm saying.
In the West.
Nuggets.
Yeah.
Dallas.
Dallas Nuggets.
No, Nuggets is in tier 1 for
You
me.
got them one.
Ooh.
I think
You got them with the Clippers and Warriors.
Yeah, they're at the bottom. Dallas is at the top of tier 2.
Where's the Lakers?
Lakers are indeed at the bottom of tier 3.
You're welcome.
Tier 3, they could be in tier 4.
Yeah, they're really fucking garbage. Minnesota probably not dead last.
They can't be.
I'll fuck around and have them over Phoenix. I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's
I
cool
might
with
have
me.
them over Phoenix. I like them better than Phoenix. They probably right there. Wherever Memphis is, they're right next to them.
You know what this means, though? With the Jazz trading Donovan Mitchell, that means that the Kings will indeed be better.
Well, I did say I see what you did there. I did say if Donovan stayed on the team, they won't be better. He's gone now. I don't care.
Now the Kings have a much easier path.
Should have
to
made
the
that
play-in
distinction
now.
with Auden Tate, bro, if you made the team, but sadly you didn't.
Auden Tate,
Straight
man,
crazy.
what a tragedy.
Tragedy's right.
He's one of those wasted talent guys that teams just couldn't find a way to utilize him, but he was.
You think it was him
always there. The
or
talent was there.
it was the teams?
I think with a guy that talented, it has to be the teams, the rosters that was there. I think there's going to be a coach in the Canadian League that gets the best out of him.
Guy that
Honestly, bro,
talented.
outside of Drake London, like you can't name more than like 3 receivers
Demir
on the Falcons.
Bird.
I say like Demir Bird,
Zacchaeus.
It really
You
can't
have
play.
Brian Edwards. Like those are the guys Auden
couldn't
Tate had
They're
to beat
good
out.
players, man.
Ugh.
Bro, if he talented, he should have won.
He should beat out
Yeah.
all of
They're in
those
the NFL
guys.
for a reason.
I mean, yeah, they're talented.
They're
Those
good.
are-
Auden Tate's in the
Tate
NFL,
is
isn't
not
he?
in the NFL. He's not good, bro. Sorry.
I didn't mean
To think,
to. I didn't mean
man.
to make it.
He was supposed to steal targets from Jamar.
He was supposed to be one of the best I've seen.
Oh my God.
I got to go back and see what our deal was for that.
It's funny that we went back to that video and what you guys accused me of saying I didn't say.
No, it's actually
The
spot on.
Jamar one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the Auden Tate one.
No, it's actually spot
I wasn't
on.
here for the Jamar one.
No, I'm talking about the Auden Tate one. Yeah,
Oh well, what? No, you said
it was in the
under,
same
like-
thing. The Jamar Auden Tate one, same thing.
What are you talking about, bro? The Auden Tate one was last preseason, no?
No, yeah, I know.
The Jamar Chase one. I mean,
Mhm.
what?
Yes, the Auden
No,
and
but the
Jamar
Auden,
Chase
the
one.
Auden Tate. No. I'm saying the Auden Tate hour deal this year was this
Oh,
off season.
oh.
Yes.
Didn't you call that bet off?
No, actually, no chance. No chance.
I heard you did.
Nah, I didn't believe
I
it.
feel
or
like
not.
this is basically like him being on IR.
No, it's not. He got cut.
Unfortunately, you owe Joe money.
You don't
got
know.
Nah,
Maybe they
that's-
cut him because undisclosed injury. With a guy that talent, you really believe he got cut because he can't play?
I
'Cause
think
he's mid.
Yeah, I do. I do. Sadly.
Dude. The
Dude.
disrespect.
Dude.
The Utah Jazz traded Donovan Mitchell, and they have now parted ways with Mitchell and Gobert, two
Living
players
era.
that brought them 5 straight postseason appearances.
A number 1 seed as well.
Now, for me, I think this is one of the few
Multiple.
times that we all saw the Jazz rebuild coming, and we kind of were chanting for it to happen because we knew they were stuck with their current roster. Was there a scenario where Donovan Mitchell could have stayed and Danny Ainge could have built around him? Yes. But I think this was the smartest move. Go into a full rebuild. They have multiple picks in the first rounds of
15.
2023, 2025, 2027, 2029, a boatload of cap space next summer. And Colin Sexton, 4 years, $72 million. That's $18 million a year. Now, I think Colin Sexton, for me, he doesn't project as one of the better guards in the league. I think he projects as a high-level 6-man potential starter on some teams. So I think at $18 million, it is a good and reasonable contract for him. But the Jazz have a lot of players in their backcourt, and that's not even counting the veterans they have. Jared Butler, Colin Sexton, Ochai Agbaji, Malik Beasley, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Leandro Bolmero, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Those are 7 players, and I'm not even mentioning Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson. I don't know what the Jazz are going to do. It feels like they're going to trade Clarkson and Bogdanovich next. I could see them trading Malik Beasley to open up some of these spots for these guards because Malik Beasley could help out a contending team. But yeah, this is a full-on rebuild. Do I think it was a mistake for them to turn down the Knicks offer and RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly? I do, because I think the Knicks package was better. But ultimately, if the Jazz's goal is to tank in this draft, to get a Victor Wembanyama, to get a Scoot Henderson, then this was absolutely the right move. And it was about time that they tanked and they rebuilt this roster.
Danny Ainge did a fine job this offseason.
Absolutely.
Pretty much, I don't want to say he fleeced, but he did a good job getting great value out of the Rudy Gobert trade. And even though he missed out on the Knicks package, I still think he got an okay package from Cleveland. You know, you got Agbaji, you got 4 unprotected first-round picks, if I'm not mistaken. You got Laurie, who's a fine player. And then you got Colin Sexton, who at 18 mil, he is pretty much, that's his value in the league.
From Cleveland, they got 3 and 2 pick swaps.
3, okay, thank you. So, solid value. The Knicks one was better, but you still get good value.
Was it better because of RJ?
Yes.
Yes, and
Okay.
Mitch.
Are the Jazz making a mistake by valuing picks over a proven player who's actually going to be good?
Who's the proven player?
RJ Barrett.
Maybe.
Because they ultimately took...
Maybe Ainge wasn't in love with him.
They took the deal where it's 3 unprotected, 2 pick swaps, and not just 2 unprotected, but you have RJ Barrett.
Maybe
And Emmanuel Quickly.
Maybe Utah's front office just didn't see what the Knicks see in RJ. Could
Do
be
you
possible.
think the Jazz didn't want that because they would be in a situation where
They have to pay
they're
both of them?
not only that, but they're not drafting high with this trade package. They're gonna suck. They're gonna be really bad.
Yeah,
if you get RJ, all these guys, you could be a decent,
I guess
a 12 seed.
They
want
to start fresh,
exactly,
like,
where you
no,
just get
no,
picks.
Yeah, no
you don't gotta worry
strings,
about
no attachment. They want to start fresh, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Jordan Clarkson and Bogdanovich, they're gone. Mike Conley, if they can try to get him out, he's gone. But he'll be gone by next season anyways. So you try to get all those guys out. You just start fresh. I think this is just a start fresh. Malik Beasley will probably be gone too.
Jared Vanderbilt, does he get traded?
Maybe. Pat Bev, they already got him out of here pretty fast. That was quick.
It just has to be as simple as in Danny Ainge we trust if I'm the Utah Jazz. The Celtics basically did that for them, and you got Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. You had one of the best trades in NBA history happen because of Danny Ainge with the Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett trade with the Brooklyn Nets. If you're the Utah Jazz, you literally have no choice but to put your entire faith into Danny Ainge because there's no real free agents that are coming in the offseason to come sign with Utah. You have to trust Danny Ainge's ability to scout, to draft at a high level because he's done it already. And with this move, you trade your 2 best players, 2 top 25, 2 top 30 players in Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Now you have to win the draft from here on out because there's no real players that are going to come in the offseason that are going to come sign to come play in Utah. It's just the unfortunate truth of the matter. I think that this was a good move for the Utah Jazz because it did not seem as if the Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell pairing was going to work out. And you did not want Donovan Mitchell disgruntled and his trade value to be lesser than what it was this offseason. This was as high of a value of you could get for Donovan Mitchell because he signed until 24-25 because of the player option that he has in 25-26. And he's played excellent basketball. The only issue is that he kind of gets injured from time to time, especially when you need him most in the playoffs. But when he's in the playoffs, he's one of the best playoff scorers we've ever seen. He's that great. He's that dominant. But the issue with Donovan and Rudy Gobert was that they just could not work because Rudy could not extend to the perimeter. But that's not on Rudy because they had no perimeter defenders to help out Rudy at all. I think that I'm perfectly fine with trusting Danny Ainge and wanting to build a new team around the Utah Jazz. But if you're a Utah Jazz fan, your faith is literally all in Danny Ainge.
I think this is, looking back on it, when I first saw the Knicks package, I was like, how do you pass up on that? Because getting RJ being the best player in the deal, you trade Mitchell, but at least you get something to build around and at least tell your fans, like, we have a direction. Right now you have a direction just in a different way that we don't have the guy yet, right? We don't want RJ to be our guy, but with all these draft picks, we're going to find someone in the draft to really come in and be a superstar level player and really rebuild this Jazz team. They have the perfect guy to do it. We saw Danny Ainge do it with Boston. Now, are they going to luck into Jason Tatum? You know, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Anthony Black.
Huh?
Stop saying his name.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like the Celtics deal is one you could look at Ainge's track record and say, wow, that's amazing. But in reality, a trade like that is very unlikely to happen where you trade those 2 superstars, but then the Nets just completely collapse those 2 superstars. The next season really just fall apart, even though they made the playoffs, but later down the road. So Danny Ainge has done some great things for Boston. It's going to take some time with Utah, though. This is a team that is done really no talent. They're going to trade the rest of their veterans, but at least you have a ton of picks and a guy who knows what to do with those picks and make good trades.
Stop sleeping on Anthony Black, man.
I'm saying he's the only guy you say.
There are 4 teams now actively tanking in the West.
Who's the other 3? Sorry.
I would still throw an OKC into that. The Rockets, I would throw into that.
I think
Utah
there's a difference
Jazz-
between tanking blatantly just being bad.
That's facts.
The Utah Jazz The OKC Thunder, the Houston Rockets, and the Spurs. I think
the Rockets and OKC are just bad.
No, I think OKC's been tanking.
Think so?
Yeah, I do.
You think they can win more than they actually win?
I think it's possible.
Well, players don't tank. No.
Some of them really do. Though.
Not really. You're paying for a contract. Especially if you're in a bad team, you probably have a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
So
like the Orlando Magic never went out there and said we're going to lose on purpose.
Well, the Spurs don't tank. They're just not good.
Yeah, some teams lack talent.
Yeah.
The Utah Jazz in one offseason that Danny Ainge has been here, they have more first-round picks this decade than OKC started with in this decade.
It's tough.
I mean, you get a shit ton of picks.
Ainge been cooking.
OKC started the blueprint of just hoarding picks, small market teams.
Danny Cooks.
Utah Jazz, they're doing it now.
Danny Cooks.
Pays off.
And they have a new coach in Will Hardy.
We talked about last episode that OKC just has
Will Hardy.
so much young talent.
It's the Jazz's coach.
I'm saying, like, where's he from?
He's from the G League, I believe. He was an assistant on. No, he was an assistant on the Celtics.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Will Hardy.
Yep.
Is he nice?
Danny Ainge makes sense.
He's the NBA's youngest coach.
How old is he? I'm sorry, I'm asking you a lot of questions.
Dude, Serena's about to lose.
34 years old.
Ooh.
Damn. Mike Conley, is he older than him?
Might be. Wow. Fucking nuts. Coaching a guy older than you? It's actually hilarious.
Yeah.
Danny Cooks.
So that's going to do it for this episode of the Pick a Side Podcast, emergency podcast, reacting to the Donovan Mitchell trade. Riv, I'm disappointed. I thought you was going to come more aggressive.
I was going to cook, but when all the fucking news came out, it was like I couldn't really. You didn't lose.
And you had the facts.
Yeah.
You spoke nothing but them.
I couldn't really lose. So it was like, I did all that trolling early, and I should have waited until more information came out.
And who
The
knows?
fans gassed it. It's like Conor McGregor versus Anthony Pettis.
What happened?
Conor McGregor broke his leg.
Ooh.
Oh.
Who
No,
they
that's
gassed?
not Anthony Pettis. That's
It wasn't Anthony
It was
Pettis.
Dustin Poirier, I
That's
believe.
Poirier, you're right. Yep.
Connor broke Dustin's.
Yep.
They was
No.
gassing Dustin?
Connor broke his leg.
He went
or
for
his
a
ankle.
kick.
I think it
He
was
went
an
for
ankle.
a kick and he defended and he fucking made it.
Sorry, fans. Woj cooked me.
This could end up being a win for the Knicks.
Oh, it will be.
Because you could get a superstar next year, the year after, who
we
puts
gotta
you.
stop.
I'm just saying.
They trying to get SGA. You see the SGA news now.
we know if they got Mitchell, they don't make
possible.
that would make
Bro, that
a-
was so funny.
a
You seen that?
championship
Now
contender.
they waiting for SGA to be like, I don't want to get out. They gonna try to throw it.
SGA, I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Oh, no, we got the assets to throw to SGA.
because Mitchell never really he would have been great on the Nets, but he didn't really fit. Like they're not a
Well, they was
championship
running
team
around
with
here
that.
like a fucking parade. Like they was gonna.
Well,
get
it'd
him.
been the best player they've had in a long time.
I mean, we
Melo.
were talking with the Jazz for 2 months.
Yeah, that's
The
nuts.
Knicks were. So this was, and when the Jazz got the offer from Cleveland, they didn't go back to New York to ask if they wanted to match it.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
They already
I
surpassed it.
do think the Jazz didn't trade with the Knicks because Danny Ainge didn't want to.
Yeah,
That's
Okay.
it. I think that we gave them reasonable trade packages, and he was just being stubborn. Take what you got from Cleveland, whatever, be what it may be. But Donovan Mitchell, in my mind, should have been a Knick.
Sorry, man.
Mic drop.
He should have been
drop.
on the Knicks. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast and on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.